The Christmas season is upon us, and although it's full of cheer and celebration, it can also be the season of some spooky urban legends.
That is why on today's most amazing top 10 list, we're going to be breaking down the top 10 scary American Christmas urban legends.
Okay. I guess let's just get right into it. Starting off at number 10, we have Bertha/Frau Perchta. The American urban legend of Bertha stems from the Austrian legend of Frau Perchta. And I don't know about you guys, but that name Bertha honestly just puts the fear of God into me, like something, I don't know what it is, but like, 100%. I will not mess with the Bertha. Seriously. I will run. In the legend, Bertha is somewhat of a good figure in the community, with her being a goddess of the Alps, in charge of looking over the forest. So, like, not scary at all, right? Well, she is quite a different figure around Christmas time, and during the 12 days leading up to Christmas, she leaves goodies and treats for the kids who have been good. But for the ones who have been naughty rather than nice, well, they have to deal with her terrifying wrath. The legend of Bertha says that sinners will get their internal organs ripped out from inside them. But that's not all. The organs will be replaced with garbage. And if I heard this one when I was a kid, I would have been a saint all year, trust me. Like, I kind of got the chills talking about that one. Like, garbage? What a savage.
Moving on to our number 9 spot, we have a creepy caroler story. But before we dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying this video so far, because it really helps us out. This story goes that a young boy was taken out caroling with his father and his grandfather and all of their friends for the first time ever. The group would go every year in order to spread Christmas cheer, but also to beg for money. The boy couldn't play an instrument, so his father gave him a triangle and told him to strike it every once in a while, which is exactly how you play the triangle. The group arrived at one house and a woman answered the door carrying a tray of glasses. She offered one to the boy's grandfather and he happily accepted it. The boy then looked to the upstairs window and saw another woman standing there with an extremely hideous face. When the boy looked back to the woman in the doorway, he realized that she also had the same hideous face and went to warn his grandfather, but it was too late as he was already taking a big gulp of whatever was in the glass. This is when the woman in the doorway said, "Oh dear, you've drunk blood, sir," and then slammed the door shut in front of them. His grandfather stumbled backwards and fell to the ground. This was the last thing that the boy remembers until he was waking up alongside all of the rest of the group. It was around dawn and everyone had been knocked down into the snow and were just waking up as well. When they came to, unfortunately the boy's grandfather hadn't made it, but the house that they were at had completely vanished. Who were those scary women and what the heck happened?
I'm like, truly, what the heck happened?
Seriously.
I'm confused.
I don't know.
In at number 8, we have Santa Claus invented by Coca-Cola. This is one that will make people hate capitalism, but apparently the image of Santa Claus as we know it was actually invented by Coca-Cola. And if you think about it, both of the colors are like red and white, and the Coca-Cola Santa Claus ads are basically a tradition in itself at this point. And the two are so heavily linked now that people are certain that Coke actually invented Santa Claus to sell more drinks. And even though some points can be made for this one, it's not true, because Coke's version of Santa came to be in the 1930s, and by then the public had seen images of a jolly man in red and white for years. But Santa was even well known before that, with him being known as a thin man until 1863, until he was first drawn as a plump man by Thomas Nast. But we can say that Coke Santa might be the most consistent across time, even though his depiction can be credited more to Norman Rockwell than Coca-Cola.
In our number 7 spot today, we have an Elf on the Shelf conspiracy. The Elf on the Shelf became an extremely popular Christmas tradition in the last few years and has seen tons of families participating. Basically, it's a teeny little elf that comes to your home for the month of December and spies on you to make sure that your kids are on their best behavior so that they can report back to Santa.
Oh my god, I had no idea that's what that was.
This is a cute little system and ensures that children are staying in line, especially as the holidays are approaching, but there are some pretty creepy stories that go along with it. First of all, the idea of an elf just spying on everyone's family is pretty uncomfortable. Inviting a stranger into your home to watch your every move, especially your children's, is kind of bizarre when you really think about it. The other creepy story that goes along with this holiday tradition is the belief that if a child touches the elf on the shelf, it will lose all of its powers and then it will be unable to report back to Santa, and therefore the child will automatically be put on Santa's naughty list. This is so sad to think that one little mistake could ruin a child's entire holiday season, especially if they were good all year long.
Yeah, that's true. If he's only observing the time around Christmas, like, That's kind of not fair.
Seriously.
What if you had one slip up, like right before?
I know. And like, what if the elf fell on the floor and you were just trying to pick it back up?
Yeah.
You know? You were trying to do a good deed.
You didn't get all the facts.
It's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's upsetting.
Truly upsetting.
Honestly.
Then in at number 6, fake Santa surprise goes wrong. There's an urban legend about a father who tried to surprise his kids as Santa Claus, but sadly it went horribly wrong. It started when the father claimed he was going to be out of town for Christmas, which would have nobody suspect that he was Santa. But on Christmas Eve, when he was crawling down the chimney, he ended up getting stuck and actually died of asphyxiation. And then sadly on Christmas morning, when everyone came down to look at their presents, they noticed a bad smell coming from the chimney, and they ended up making the terrible discovery. That's really rough, finding your dad on Christmas Day.
In our number 5 spot and our halfway mark, we have a story of Rudolph. Rudolph is one of the most important Christmas characters, from songs to shows to being the leader of the pack pulling Santa's sleigh, but there's a pretty dark story about the things he had to overcome in order to thrive. Basically, after Santa sees Rudolph's glowing nose for the first time, he tells Donner that he needs to handle it, or else Rudolph will have no chance of joining the team. This makes Donner end up putting a prosthetic over the red nose, which is so rude because Rudolph obviously shouldn't have to conform in order to fit in because he is perfectly fine the way that he is. Eventually the nose cover falls off and everyone sees Rudolph's nose and everyone begins bullying him, and Santa gets super angry at Donner for not fixing the problem like he had asked. Who knows why this story has Santa being so mean to poor Rudolph, but I really hope that this one just isn't true.
No, Santa is far too jolly to do something like that.
I know.
False.
I know. I'm like, it seems really out of character.
Yeah, no,
You know?
he's not like that. Then in number 4, we have Christmas is when the dead connect to the living / Yule. This next one comes from the winter solstice celebration and the festival known as Yule, which was how Christmas was celebrated in Europe and the US in the early days. And since December 21st is the darkest day of the year, the time around Christmas was seen as the best time of year for the dead to connect with the living. And the holiday season has a cocktail of elements that invite ghosts in. All of this makes Christmas the optimal time for casting spells. This idea goes hand in hand with the belief that the 12 days between Christmas and Epiphany are a time when the spirit world impringes on our own. So basically, watch out for witches and spirits around Christmas because that is the peak of their occurrence. That is a new thing that I just learned. That's crazy.
Coming in at number 3, we have Hermey the Elf. Hermey the Elf is one of Santa's most famous elves. He was a bit of a misfit compared to the other elves, and part of the reason was because he didn't really want to be at the shop making toys with all the other elves. Hermey actually really wants to be a dentist, which is very cool.
Oh my God, props to you, Hermey.
Things take a turn though, because in this story, Hermey gets a little too obsessed with his true passion until it kind of consumes him. Legend says that Hermey would rip the teeth out of the bodies of humans or animals in order to use them for the toys he made, which is just as disgusting as it is horrific. I mean, this honestly might be true because remember when he lured the abominable snowman out of his cave and then Yukon Cornelius hit him with a rock so that they could extract his teeth? I can't believe that they actually let Hermey back into the North Pole and also let him open a dentist's office because something isn't quite right with that guy.
Just something a bit off about him.
Yeah.
Can't put your finger on it.
I'm like, something stinky's going on here.
In at number 2, we have the clown puppet. The clown puppet is an urban legend that is honestly just as terrifying as it sounds. The story is about 3 sisters who asked their parents for Christmas presents. The oldest was 15, the middle was 12, and the youngest was 7. And for Christmas, the oldest daughter wants a laptop. The middle daughter asked for an iPad, and the youngest daughter asked for a small doll. And on Christmas Day, they all unwrapped their presents, and instead of a small doll, the youngest daughter got a clown puppet. And even though it wasn't what she wanted, she decides to keep it anyway. But then 2 days later, the youngest daughter goes missing, and they never find her or find out why. Then the next year, the middle daughter asks for a clown puppet in memory of her younger sister. But again, 2 days later, the middle daughter disappears. Then the year after, the last remaining sister asks for a clown puppet again in memory of the other sisters. And as you can probably expect, she also went missing 2 days later. Many months later, when the parents went to look in the attic for something, they saw the clown puppet sitting on a throne of lollipop sticks, and arranged around it were the severed heads of the sisters. And I guess the lesson here is don't keep asking for a clown puppet when it's connected to multiple disappearances, like Learn your lesson the first time.
In our number 1 spot, we have the GRITHER. The GRITHER is one of the most awful things in the whole world, and he is said to be the monster that resides in the North Pole. He sleeps in the wreckage of an abandoned ship that somehow ended up in a dark and creepy cave. He doesn't mind the cold or the damp, but when someone says his name, it gets him very upset, and since he has huge ears that grow every single time his name is said, he can definitely hear you even if you think you are whispering. His ears have actually gotten so big that he can use them to fly, which is how he gets to you if he has heard you say his name. When he gets to you, he takes his extra long arms and reaches out and then opens up his fists that are the size of basketballs to gather you up so that he can eat you. The only people who have seen the GRITHER are the people who he has eaten. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host, Olivia Kozlowski.
And I'm Mackenzie Smith.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye guys.